Should YouTube have the right to take down Russell Brand's page? Well, love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Do get in touch. I'll put that question to Tom Slater, who's editor at Spiked Online. We were just talking about this when it just broke a few moments ago. YouTube basically standing as judge and jury over what Russell Brand has been accused of, despite the fact that we haven't even had a judge and jury in real life having a say on these allegations against him.
I think that's really true, and I think that's really sinister. We shouldn't be in a situation where these huge companies can kind of put their thumb on the scale in a certain sort of way. I mean, whatever you think about the allegations against Russell Brand, whatever you think about Russell Brand, whoever you believe in this situation, what we have here are allegations being made against an individual who refutes them. And are we suggesting that it's therefore entirely legitimate for this company to deprive that individual of revenue, to deprive them of their primary platform through which they might continue to make money, but also to challenge the claims that are being made against them? I think all you've got to do is take the name Russell Brand and the allegations out of your head to say, if you're in a situation where someone is accused of criminal conduct, to suggest these companies should be duty-bound to pick a side is obviously a terrible idea.
But also everybody, I mean, you know, we got, you know, his current tour, bipolarisation, that, you know, that has been taken off. You know, basically, you know, that was going to be a practical issue. You've got literary agency, the publishers, everyone's basically saying, oh, no, nothing to do with me, Gov. Now we've even got the attacks on, you know, what was Labour thinking, what was Ed Miliband thinking, cozying up to him for a video interview on YouTube when, you know, ahead of the 2015 election. You know, even Owen Jones, someone for whom I do not hold a candle, a left-wing commentator, for those of you who've been living under a rock, you know, what were you doing cozying up? Sorry, he wasn't known as a sexual predator then. The idea, again, this is, again, punishment for the sins of the past. And this sort of, someone's been accused of something, we weren't there, these are credible claims by 4 women, a 5th woman, you understand, has come forward to police, but talking about a sexual assault that took place, she claims, in 2003. That's 20 years ago. 20 years ago. We are talking about, you know, basically the sort of the rewriting of history and everyone being judged on everything they did 20 years ago, if they had any dealings with this guy, and him being judged even based on you know, what he said in a TV show, on a live show, in what were jokes. Now, we don't know how much those jokes reflected real life. Maybe a court of law will decide that. We don't know. But the court of public opinion has already decided, apparently.
And it's important to stress that I think the presumption of innocence, yes, it's a strictly kind of legal right, but I think it's an important one that we hold in society in general, because otherwise, whilst it might not be the case, it might not be true in this case, it may well be that he's completely banged to rights in terms of these allegations. But as we've seen in very recent history, it's very easy for false allegations to ruin someone's life.
Kevin Spacey, Cliff Richard, Paul Gambaccini.
These are
just
obvious
three
examples.
off the top of my head.
So that, at the very least, should suggest to us that we've got to practice caution, we've got to practice a little bit of scepticism, and we've got to be careful not to allow concern about some very serious allegations which should be looked at and should be investigated to the fullest extent of the law to lead to a much more kind of broader hysteria, which is not useful
an unpersoning. And we unperson people. It's Stalinist, and it's like, well, you don't exist anymore. We'll take that doesn't have to be the solution. You can still treat these claims of sexual assault and rape as credible, take them seriously, and investigate them.